Welcome to this edition of the Coach's Corner. I'm Wes McKinney here today with head football coach Garin. Coach, good to have you on today.
Thank you very much, Wes. Nice to be here.
Okay, now you guys are roughly about halfway through spring ball. What's been the overall feeling so far?
It's been great. The guys have been working hard. They seem like they've stayed pretty hungry and very well for the upcoming season. I know last year was a lot of accomplishment they achieved, and we feel great about that. But also we looked at back on the season and we see that there's more to accomplish. And I think that loss to Kutztown in the playoffs let us know that we can achieve even more further goals.
Okay, now lots of holes to fill this upcoming season. First off, you lose all-conference running back Brian Kennedy, who's kind of been stepping up in spring ball to fill his role.
We've had a couple of guys that have done a nice job. Chris Rodriguez has stepped up and kind of been the main man this spring. He's done a great job. Fortunately, we had Andrew Gondor nicked up, got a foot injury, so he's been unable to practice like we need him to. So we wanted to see what he could do, and we anticipate him helping us a lot in August. And then also a big surprise for us has been Ben Nestor, local kid here at Pikeview High School, and he stepped up and done a wonderful job. So I don't know if any of those guys are Brian Kennedy, but our depth is the best it's ever been at that position.
Okay, now not a lot of losses on offense, just 3 guys, but on the defensive end, you lose Conference Player of the Year, Drew Greenway. You lose 2 defensive backs. Who are you and the coaching staff seeing as guys that can potentially step in and play linebacker or a defensive back position?
Well, I mean, you talk about Greenway, Martinez, and some of those guys. Those are some big losses to fill, and I don't know if we can ever totally fill that, but we feel great about the guys we're bringing in and the guys that we have on campus right now. Our early guy for Joe Greenway is Howard Jordan, a guy that played inside linebacker last year, who we bumped out to that outside Fox position, who was kind of the third linebacker inside last year, can give us some depth outside. Martinez, with him gone, he's been a very big presence back in that secondary last few years for us. But we got Devon Marion back, who set out last season. And Devon was an all-conference type performer the year before. So those 2 guys are immediate guys to help ease some of the burden and load. But overall, I think we're getting better depth. Like I was talking about the running back position, I don't know if we have a Joe Greenway necessarily. But we got a Jake Lilly, a Josh Miller, we got a Riyad Richardson. We got some special players and then along with the depth we're building, I feel like we'll be able to continue our success.
Okay, now shifting back to the offensive side of the ball for a second, you lose all-conference center Brandon Link, best offensive lineman anchor there. Who do you see replacing Brandon Link in the fall?
Well, I mean, that's another thing. Brandon was very great for us. But a guy that's going to step over immediately is Cody Smith. Cody played left guard for us last year. Cody actually came in as a linebacker, and now he worked himself or ate himself to a center, so to speak. So Cody's the initial replacement of that, but then you say Cody Smith goes to center, who plays left guard, and right now Cody Parker's done an excellent job filling in that. Cody's a kid from James Monroe High School here locally who was kind of our 6th lineman last year, who's stepped up and finally gained some weight on his body and has done an excellent job this spring at left guard.
Okay, now it was well documented last year that the offense had some struggles and the defense was key in some games until the final game of the season when you guys put 48 on Wesleyan. Do you see maybe this year a little bit differently as far as the offense being a little bit more veteran-led and the defense being a little bit younger this year?
Well, I don't anticipate the defense falling off any. I don't want those guys to fall off any, but I do anticipate the offense being better. As far as the look, I think we're going to look a lot more balanced than what we did last season. Thank goodness for defense last year, because they bailed that offense out a lot of times. And that's what a team's about, is the offense not letting the defense down, the defense not letting the offense down, and don't let that other group fail. And that's what we were trying to get accomplished last season. Unfortunately, it was the defense always doing it, but it ended up in getting some wins. Next year, hopefully it's more so 50-50 in balance, and we can get production from both sides of the ball.
Okay, now there were some minor movements with the coaching staff in the offseason. Talk about some of the guys that were brought in.
Tony Pecoraro is the only full-time new guy that came in. Tony was actually the defensive coordinator at North Alabama last year. For those who are not familiar with North Alabama, that was where Terry Bowden was at last season. They were perennial top 5 Division II program. So to get a guy like Tony to come in as a position coach, where he was defensive coordinator, to get him to come in here to Concord and coach a position and be our special teams coordinator, that's a blessing, and really it's another step in the right direction for us as a program.
Okay, now it can be argued that quarterback is the most important position on the field. How has Zach Rossi looked throughout spring ball as he prepares for his final season?
Zach's getting better and better every day, and you know, we feel great about our backups, Albert Rose and Will Cole. They've done an excellent job making us feel comfortable if something wrong happens to Zach. Now, God forbid that it does happen, but Zach's been a great leader. He's always been an excellent player, but he's lacked sometimes in the leadership category. And the main thing I've noticed about Zach, he's been able to step up his leadership game, and guys are starting to follow him now, and he's setting that example daily that he does the right thing now, instead of before he may have been wayward on some things. But now Zach's a great character guy, has as good of a work ethic in the film room as anyone on the team. It's been an excellent leader for our guys.
Okay, now the kicking game, somewhat of a problem last season.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
What's being done in the spring to correct those woes from last year?
Well, recruiting is a big thing to help that. Right now, we do not have a kicker on campus, so next year's kicker will be a freshman. That or go for 2, I guess. So we had some luck with that muddle huddle last year, but we have 2 freshmen we signed. A kid from Winfield, Andy Ellington, and a kid out of Pittsburgh, Andrew Huska. So there's 2 guys that we really love on film, and we'll just let those 2 battle out and see who can step up and do it.
Okay, now last season you guys play a pretty tough schedule. This year, no different. Division I Liberty. You guys get Division II semifinalists from last year, Winston-Salem State, and then you guys always play. Seems like they always gives you fits, Lenore-Rhine. How are you preparing for the tough matchups in spring ball?
Yeah, well, you look at it. Lenore-Rhine was a conference champion last year. Winston-Salem was a conference champion last year. Winston-Salem was actually a regional champion last year. So a lot of great opponents, and our approach is never going to change regardless of who we're playing. And it's always going to be about Concord. We're always going to take care of us. If we don't prepare the right way, it doesn't matter who we play. It's a good chance we're going to lose if we don't prepare the right way. So we have to worry about us. We got to take each day at a time and continually get better and compete with ourselves. And when the time comes to worry about Lenore-Rhine and Winston-Salem State, then we can do that. The great thing about football is week to week you have to have amnesia. If you have a good week, bad week, you have to forget about it and move on to the next week. So Lenore-Rhine, it's starting to creep in the back of my head because I'm a coach and it's supposed to, but for our players, they need to worry about every day just getting better and competing against themselves.
Okay, now shifting back here, about actually almost a month ago now, you guys have your awards banquet and you bring in Coach Howard Schellenberger. How do you think that Mr. Schellenberger was able to motivate the players?
Well, hopefully he can rub some of that winning off on us. You look back through history. He was an assistant coach on some Alabama teams in the '60s with Bear Bryant. He was part of the Miami Dolphins' undefeated championship team, known as maybe the greatest NFL team ever, only undefeated team ever. In the '80s, he was part of the University of Miami's dominance, and then he took Louisville to the Fiesta Bowl. And it's accomplished about every decade that football has really been relevant. He's been a major factor in that, major player in it. So hopefully some of that winning is really going to rub off on us. But he was a great speaker to have, and more than anything, he just gave the guys confidence and gave us as coaches confidence that we're heading in the right direction and we're doing the things necessary and the steps necessary to get there. I mean, an interesting story is when he showed up in Miami, Miami's program was wayward. It was in a bad state, and within 5 years they won a national championship. And that's what we're always going to talk about at Concord is ultimately getting to a national championship and winning that game, and hopefully his winning ways can rub off on us in that.
Okay, now who are some players that people may not have heard of that are really opening up the coaching staff eyes so far in spring ball?
Yeah, offensively, a big name that comes out is a Cody Parker at left guard, a guy that You don't really know linemen's names anyhow, but Cody's done an excellent job. A kid we brought in who's actually a junior college tight end, Thomas Burke's done a very nice job filling that position that Rasheed left. Also, you look outside, DJ Holmes is a kid we redshirted last year who's playing a wideout position, who's given us some more depth and really making it, going to force us to play him a lot of minutes. Defensively, you look at Irvin Moore, who's a kid that came here last year, sight unseen, and is really, it was in our defensive scout team player of the year and done a nice job at the buck position. You have a guy like Josh Miller who gets some awards, but still playing that nose guard position. He's not heralded as much as he should be, because he's probably anchored to what we do defensively, is Josh being able to allow guys like Gibbons and Greenway last year and Jake Lilly, who led the conference in tackles, to get to those running backs, because he's holding 2 and 3 guys at the line of scrimmage. So those are some guys that really go unheralded, and there are a lot of others, but and that's the thing we try and stress, is this is a team game, and it's all about the team. But those are some guys that are going to catch some people's eyes next year.
Okay, now earlier he's talking about Zach Rossi and how his leadership skills have really matured over the last season or two. Who are some other guys you see as team leaders in the fall?
Well, offensively, 2 big names are well, actually 3 big names on offensive line are C.J. Tullio, Mitch Harrison, Cody Smith. Those guys have played a lot of football games for us. You had Zach naturally, and offensively you also have Evan DeSold and Randall Hawkins at wideout, who are finally coming into their own as wideouts. Defensively, I just mentioned Miller, but there's some other older guys along that line. At the linebacker position, you still have Jake Lilly, who will be a junior but led the conference in tackles. Did a lot of great, nice things for us last year. And defensively, you have Devon Marion, Kevin Elliott, and Nate Pollard are as good of leaders and as solid Division II players as you'll find. And so that's the thing, is I'm really proud of our team chemistry. I'm really proud of the way the guys are working. Really proud of the overall feel for the team right now.
Alrighty, Coach, that's going to wrap things up for today. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, Wes, thank you very much.
Alrighty, that's going to do it for this edition of the Coach's Corner. I'm Wes McKinney.